in Germany, and all you see is Heil Hitler, Deutschland over alles, Germany above all. Brought up in America, greatest country in the world. All that bullshit. The world you live in is a bullshit world. Now those of you that are bothered by language, too bad. Anyway, there are no bad words. Maybe when a girl bakes a pie and she drops it, he says, oh, fiddly dee. A guy might say shit. That means I'm sorry I dropped the pie. Has nothing to do with shit. When a guy says bullshit, it means I can't accept what you're saying. Has nothing to do with the shit of a bull. So you've got to understand language, and the language we use every day is subject to interpretation. If you don't understand that, when you say something to somebody, it goes in the head and comes out different. And so you say, that's not what I say. Oh, yes, you did it. So when people read the Bible, you open it, and this is what Jesus meant. The other was, you're wrong. He meant that. The third person is, you're both wrong. He meant this. So you have the Lutheran, the Seventh-day Adventist, the Catholic, only because it's subject to interpretation. If you hope to live in a world that's saner, you have to have a language that has uniform meaning. Is that possible, to develop a language that is not subject to interpretation? Mathematics is not subject to interpretation. Chemistry, when chemists talk, they understand the same symbols all over the world today. And mathematics is similar all over the world. And when it comes to engineering, if engineers talk to each other, they don't say, believe me, this is the strongest metal. They say its tensile strength is so much, torsion strength so much, compression strength. They understand each other. If an engineer designed a bridge that was subject to interpretation, they wouldn't know what size beams to use. And in the Air Force, when you fly airplanes, the language is not subject to interpretation. You couldn't operate anything that makes sense with the everyday language. So, with this everyday language, you have confusion, conflict, disagreement. Scientific language is very different, and politics is very different. Politicians say things people like to hear. That's how you win approval. You have 5 children? How nice. Everything you say is nice. They want to get elected. But scientists do not speak to win approval. There was a time when most people believed the earth was flat. The scientist says, you're a victim of error. Let me show you why and how it's round. And they went out, they didn't say, it's a little round and a little flat. Then you get along with everybody. That is not the business of science, to win approval. If you find out that people live near a swamp and there's malaria, you tell them, you try to tell them about malaria. And they say, but my grandmother lived there, my grandfather for years. That's got nothing to do with it. Now today, or I should say a little bit yesterday, they used to pour oil on swamps to keep the mosquito larvae from coming out of the water. But that killed the fish. So they got confused again. So they did something else. They spray poisons on the swamp. That goes down to the water table, but you do get rid of the mosquitoes. It kills all the fish too. So really, what do you do? I'm going to try to tell you what the Venus Project concerns are. Not criticizing the country, but offering positive alternatives to every problem. Instead of having a sign, please drive carefully, slippery when wet, we put abrasive in the highway so it's not slippery when wet. There's a sign, drive carefully, school children crossing. Well, if a mother is driving a car and the kids are fighting in the back, she turns around and says, will you kids stop that? That those few seconds, she can kill people. So what we do is when the kid wants to cross the street, he presses a button and the gate doesn't open until the highway turns up like that, so no car can hit a kid. That's what you really want. Now sometimes people come over and say they're nature lovers. I said, really? Yes, I've been in nature all my life. You mean you like hurricanes, earthquakes, all natural. Tornadoes, floods, disease, all natural. No one can be a nature lover if you're honest. There's some aspects you don't like. Big earthquakes kill thousands of people, and if the place is highly dense, hundreds of thousands of people. Hurricanes and tsunamis drown people all over the world. Disease killed, well, the bubonic plague did half the Earth's population at one time. So don't come off with that, I'm a nature lover. I don't know what you're talking about. So when you meet people and they use words like, this man's good, what does that mean? Does it tell you anything? When a teacher says, that's wrong, those words don't tell you anything. Think about it. If the teacher says, that's not what I told you, that doesn't tell you anything. So in the future, when children spell cat, say with a K, like they do here, perhaps, and if the teacher says that's wrong, the kid doesn't get anything specific. But if you draw a line under it and say very close, it's just this first letter, the K in America that we change to C. But don't say it's wrong. Right, wrong comes from religion. If the kid spells cat with a K and you say we use a C and he draws a C the wrong way, just say much closer, isn't it? But don't say it's wrong because there's no information. The language we use when a guy says to a girl, I love you, what the hell does that mean? Not a thing. Nobody ever says that to me. They say things to girls which are fantastic. Hey, you're cute. They would say, hey, Fresco, I love your bald head and your beard. They never say that. So what is our language all about? It's an ancient system of poor communication, subject to interpretation. That's so all the people that you're taught to like are the bums and derelicts of the century. They run the show. They make war. War is the most profitable business in the world today. And so the army grows through war. Industries make billions. When they draft you to serve or put up your life for this country, they should conscript all the war industries so no one makes a buck out of war. Then it's real. And if you had that, there wouldn't be any war. Think about it. So you can't patch up this system. It doesn't work. It's not good. It's behind the times. So they tell you, well, there were guys like Leonardo da Vinci who was ahead of his time. He never was. The people were behind Da Vinci. Da Vinci didn't come up with all those wonderful ideas. He associated with people that talked of gears and levers. You didn't know that. But Da Vinci, everybody can be Leonardo da Vinci. And they tell you that the machine age began with a wheel. They tell you that somebody invented the wheel. Oh, why? A tree fell over another tree, and when you pulled it, the bottom would roll. That suggested the wheel. Thank you. So, what I'm trying to do is tell you that all of us are shaped by culture. We ought not to judge other people, but we ought to learn how to help them, turn them around. So years ago, when I was about 17, I was designing this new society. And I said, what you're saying and writing about, Jacque, that sounds good, but how do you know it'll work? How are you going to change the world's people? In the Arab world, the guy has 6 wives. And in the other world, they have different concepts of God. So how do you change the world? So I said, I don't know. That's the most difficult thing to learn to say. I don't know. Because sometimes we ask people, you think man will ever get to the moon? Nah, not in 1,000 years. You think that guy studied rockets and space travel? No. It's part of the crap you give people. Everyone should have a right to their own opinion. That's the worst thing you can do. If you lived across the way from me, and I saw 10 guys coming out of your apartment, I can have all kinds of opinions. So you can be a language instructor, a ballet instructor, but if you give everybody a right to their own opinion, you damage society. Everyone should have access to information, like the internet. It's the greatest liberator